Yeah, blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Yeah, blackjack. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Have you seen Dr. Dre since all of this stuff has mellowed out?
I seen Bruce. I seen his assistant. I still see his brother. I still fuck with Warren. I talked to Warren the other day, and he got another brother named Tim that I still fuck with.
Yeah,
But
I know Tim. Tim used to be down at the studio. Yeah.
so I still kick it with his people,
Right.
and uh, I'm sure he ain't tripping. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
man.
No, absolutely not. No, I'm just saying. I just wonder if you've seen him. Since then. Ran into him or whatever. So
But I'm sure if or when I see him, it'll be love, bro. He ain't tripping on no shit like that. He ain't a, you know what I mean? He ain't
right.
that. He ain't gonna be like fuck that nigga. You know what I mean? He ain't on that. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, at this particular point, in his life, he just went through the little health thing. I'm sure, he, like you say, he ain't really on that, and he's just trying to basically live his life. You know what I mean? At this particular point, and make good music. I heard that him and Snoop and them working on a new album. You know what I
Oh,
mean? I don't, huh?
that'd be dope.
Huh? Yeah. Dad said that they working on a new album. So I was like, yo, that definitely. So my question, if Dre asks you to come back, man, and write some shit for him, would you do it?
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. You know, because he the one that put me in the game. You know what I mean? Like I said, it wasn't never no animosity thing. It was a situation where I was already signed to Suge. Dre couldn't pay me.
Right.
Pay me. Dre wanted me to go behind Suge back and do some shit and maybe get paid. You know what I mean? And he hadn't. He was down financially at that time when he left. He was starting over. You know what I mean? So he couldn't get me out. He couldn't pay me. You know what I mean? And he wanted me to go behind this nigga back. You know what I
Right.
mean? And on top of that, he a hot and cold nigga. Niggas don't stay around him. You know what I mean? Like when he done with you, he done with you. You know what I mean? Like so,
Absolutely.
I can count on one hand the niggas that's still around here from when I met him. You know,
Yeah. It ain't. I like I said, I can see the same thing. It's like and for whatever reason that is, it is. But like, yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
so even the niggas that's still around, they in and out. You know what I mean? Like Doc's still there, but they fell out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so what's to say if I would have did all that and risked all the shit I was risking and went and fucked with him? What's to say he wouldn't have kicked me? He wouldn't have curved me a year later. You know,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because you wasn't signed to him, and you was doing the ghostwriting thing, and like I said, you wanted your publishing. And what I like about the this record, been there, done what, is you did keep it factual about what was going on with you and your situation with him from that perspective. And like I said, if anybody was trying to listen, to the message in it, it was get your paperwork right, make sure your business is handled, and so on and so forth. So like I said, that was a dope record. I thought that was like, wow, conceptual wise, you know what I mean? That was crazy. So was that your idea or was that Suge idea?
no, that was Suge's idea because at that point he was parodying everything. Because if you remember, No Diggity, then they did Toss It Up, and
Right.
then they did then Top Dog did. I mean, Snoop did Cinderfella. Then they did Top Dog Cinderfella. You know what I mean? So they was
Okay. See, I didn't catch that. I caught the other two that you talking about, from Been There, Done That, and then the Tupac record, but not the Cinderfella joint. I didn't catch that.
been there, done that, right? And so he was like, "You should do who been there, who done that, because you did it." You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I was like, "But that's biting though." In my, so I was on some MC shit. So in
Right,
my,
right.
but that's biting though. And then he was like, well, how's it biting if you wrote that shit too? You biting yourself, like, you know? So that
Right,
nigga,
right.
you know what I mean? So I was like, fuck, I guess you can't bite yourself. You know what I mean? Uh, so that's how that went down.
So yeah, and like I said, getting into that, the situation with Sam Snead when they had assaulted him. Was you there for that?
Oh hell no! I told him not to go to it. The
Oh,
Snead, bro, he wasn't running, and he was getting. You know, I had just got into it up there at Can-Am, so I wasn't going back over there.
so that you talking about the situation involving with Napoleon them that you had just got into, and so you told, for the people that might not know and be aware, that you told Sam Snead not to go where.
To Can-Am.
Oh, so it happened at Can-Am.
So, I told him not to go. He might not remember, but I told him, like, don't, hey, bro. I won't tell him. I told him, tell him I'm out of town if they ask where I'm at, because I ain't going back up in that motherfucker ever. You
Wow.
know. But I wound up going back in after Pac died. Because the whole mood changed. Once he died, it was like, oh, this shit. You know what I mean? This shit is over. You know what I mean? And so, uh, uh,
So that was the feeling when Tupac died. When Tupac died, there was a vibe or air about the room or the situation that is over.
well, the vibe was, you just lost your general. You know what I mean? So, or you just lost your colonel. Suge was the general. You know what I
Right.
mean? You just lost your colonel, and so at that point, Suge was like, all this internal beef got to go now because this nigga's trying to kill all y'all. So that night we aired all that shit out, and everybody was cool after. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
You know, the
So,
crazy the crazy part about that, man, is I wish you could have seen that earlier.
mhm.
You know what I mean? I wish he could have identified that earlier and been like, you know what, this ain't good for business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he was dealing with the split with Suge. You got Jimmy putting shit in the mix. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
You know what I mean? And
True.
that's what I talk about. And I don't know if maybe they'll blackball me for this, but I don't give a fuck. But you know, don't underestimate the power of Interscope, man. Like them peeping the scenario and you know, grabbing the golden goose and letting the ship sink. You know what I mean? Like
Wow.
you industry rule number 4080. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Record company people are shady, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hey, look, that's one of them joints, right? When you talk about hip hop, right? If you wasn't really, that was a man,
Yeah.
So for the cats that don't know, that's that Tribe Called Quest, man. You know what I mean? But yeah, but like I said, so what do you think the thing between Dr. Dre and Tupac? Why do you think Tupac do now? Because Tupac said in an interview when he came to Death Row, one of the reasons that he decided to go record under the umbrella of Death Row was because of Dr. Dre. So do you think that Tupac was mad because Dr. Dre left after he got there?
I think when Tupac got there, I think I'm not sure how much he recognized that it was two sides of Death Row. You know what I mean? So you had Death Row, the label, you had Death Row, the set. You know what I mean?
Okay. Now explain that to the people that don't know. You know what I mean? Like, because there's a lot of people that's gonna watch this, don't gonna make assumptions about what they think they know. I'm talking to somebody who was actually there to be able to witness those two different parts of it.
You had Death Row was the label, which was the rap, the niggas that rap, that make the music, the creatives, and Dr. Dre was, was kind of heading that section. And then you had Death Row the set, which was the security, the homies, you know what I mean? The niggas that rap, but they homies too, you know what I mean? And you had that whole set, so uh you had the muscle side of Death Row, and you had the music side of Death Row.
Okay.
I think you needed both sides, but that it needed to be a balance. And I think what happened was the muscle side of Death Row started taking over, and it started affecting the creativity. You know what I mean? Because when the whole shit happened between, you know, Puff and Suge, basically, not really Biggie and Pac. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely. The early on situation, right?
With Puff and Suge was like, and then let's keep it real, bro. I know you from out that way, but you know, in the beginning, New York was hating. You know what I mean? So
right.
hating, motherfucker Snoop and Dre came on the scene and started kicking everybody ass. Puff came and started dropping his shit and started rapping for the East. You know what I mean? And you know, somehow the shit happened with the Source Awards and all that. But even beyond that, I think the Jake and Wolf situation is what really set it off.
Basically set it off. Yeah, that's what I try to tell people. Like when Pac came, it wasn't that he had to pick up anything because he had his situation with being there. It was just he just came into you know, something that was already brewing, and it was like, you know, I'm with this, and he rode along with it. You know what I mean? Because he had his own little discrepancies too with the Biggie thing and all of that. So, which wasn't really what that was supposed to be, but yet and still he felt like he could milk that.
He was with it because his contemporary on the other side was somebody he could direct that all the way to. So it was like if me and you is if I'm beefing with Melly Mel and you beef, you know what I mean? And then we meet up. We like, man, fuck both them niggas. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It was kind of like that situation where Suge already had the whole thing going over Jake and them and all that shit. And then here come Pac getting shot, and them niggas wouldn't help him out, let him sit in jail.
Right.
But Suge and them jump on it, pull him out. He like, oh, then it's West Side then, because they hating anyway. Fuck them. You know what I mean? So, so he was right all the way, 100% with that shit. Right. And then, so in his mind, this is what my opinion. In his mind, when he get out here, and Suge and them is on that shit, like just like him, but Dre and them is on some. We ain't coming to the studio. You come to the house, or we ain't with all that shit. We, you know. So in my opinion, Pac is considering that shit bougie. You know what I mean? Like, so he like, why these niggas ain't? And then Pac is hearing the homies on Suge's side of things because they already get riffing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So he hearing the homies that he hanging with. He not over there hanging with Dre and us. You know what I mean? And he not in them. He hanging with, you know, he hanging with OLTB and Neckbone and Trey and Bunchy and Heron and them. And you know, their opinion becomes his opinion of Dre. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Right. I'm your boy DELRAY. Straight gang.
Peace.